Welcome to the Farming Without the Bank podcast, the show with a no BS approach to money, hosted by a farm strategy expert and authorized IBC practitioner. Join us as we get real and expose the flaws of traditional financial institutions in order to help farmers take control of their finances, create peace of mind, grow their wealth, and leave a legacy. Now, here's your host, Mary Jo Irmen.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. All right, today we are going to talk about if we have another 80s farm crisis underway. You know, I had mentioned something on TikTok a couple of days ago from this recording, and it was very interesting to me that this tiny little video went semi-viral. I haven't even looked how many views I'm up to. I think it was like 26,000 or something like that. 26 million. I don't know. I don't even know how to use the numbers on there, but it was very interesting that so many people agreed. There were a few people that did not agree, and they did not agree for good reason. So let's talk about it. Let's get into what the heck is going on. The last podcast I did, well, not the last podcast, I don't think it was, but the Silicon Valley Bank one, we talked about what's going on with the banking system, and everybody's talking about moving to digital currency. Is that going to happen? Probably. I find that whole thing very interesting. However, let's just stick to interest rates. And with interest rates going higher, this is what I am seeing that I think is going to be alarming. So forever, we had these extremely low interest rates. If you guys have listened to me forever, you know that I do not like low interest rates. As a saver or somebody that wants to have money someplace that's not risky, our bonds weren't paying well, right? Everybody was going to the market because they were propping up the market, and that's where we were making money. Savings accounts were bad. CDs were bad. Everything was bad. Now, fast forward to today, I feel like our interest rates are where they should be. Most of you are not going to like that because you are buying things. As I have said before, low interest rates did nothing except give us permission to spend money we did not have. So fast forward to today, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, a year ago, we had 4% operating notes. Today, we have 8 to 9% operating. If I see an operating note, essentially less than 8.5%, I actually think that's pretty good because I'm not seeing a lot of interest rates lower than that for operating. I asked on TikTok what everybody's operating note was, and the highest one was 9.25. Now, I would assume that is if we have good credit, if we have good payment history, if we have a good relationship with our bank. But there was a time when interest rates were 4%, and I was seeing people with 10% operating notes because we didn't have a good payment history. We didn't have good credit. So now what are those interest rates at? Holy moly, I can only imagine. They're probably close to 15 to 20% interest for operating. So here's my thoughts on this. And let me just say that I hope I am 100% wrong. But I feel like we're going to see another 80s crisis because interest rates are really, really high. Well, they're not really, really high compared to the 80s, but they're higher than they were. And we are seeing banks that are saying, you know what? I am not going to recalculate your loan payment, but I will refinance it so that it's 1% higher. So I talked to a gentleman who could not make his full operating payment back because of drought. He just had a bad year, and he is a rancher, not a farmer. So he obviously did not have drought insurance. but he was not able to make that payment back, all of it. So he is having to sell some land. The bank said, okay, go ahead, pay your land note down. But when you do that, in order to lower your payment, we are going to refinance your note. Why are you refinancing it if we're paying it down? Why wouldn't the bank just do us a favor and recalculate the payment? So somebody said to me, well, Mary Jo, it's because it's called a refinance. No, it's not. It's called recasting. So there is a thing that the banks can do that's called recasting. That is recalculating the note over the same amount of time to get a lower payment. So when we pay something down, they can just recast it. If we're going to pay down our mortgage, can they just recast our mortgage so we have a lower payment, but we don't have to refinance? So why are they doing that? And he asked him, I said, that doesn't make sense to me. Why wouldn't they just recalculate your payment? And this is what the banker said to him, because we aren't making money on that loan at 4.5% interest. Now, were they making money? Probably. Could they make more money? Yes. And I've told you guys, I believe I've told you guys a story about a client who put money towards a note instead of her operating note. So a short term, I'm going to call it a short term note, not super long, but a shorter term note compared to operating. So she paid off the shorter term note. The bank came in and said, oh, no, you can't pay that note off. We want that money to go to operating. So we're going to reinstate the short term note at 1% higher. We're going to do you a favor, and we're only going to make it 1% higher. What? Okay, so when she actually made the payoff, why wasn't she told that prior? And so we're going to reinstate it 1% higher? That doesn't make sense to me. So was her operating note locked in? I don't know. I mean, I have a bazillion more questions. But when we see banks starting to refinance loans that don't necessarily need to be refinanced because they can make more money, this is very similar to what happened in the 80s when I couldn't come in because interest rates were so high. I couldn't make my operating note. I had to come in and refinance a loan to make the payment, right? Or what if I sold some land and the same thing, instead of paying down a note and recalculating the payment, they refinanced it at 20% interest. Are we going to see that again? I truly hope not. I pray we are not going to see that. But when we have 9% operating, and if we have tractor payments, combine payments, we've got high prices for fertilizer, chemical. It is a building storm, in my opinion, that we are going to have some people that are going to be on their very last straw, and we are going to have land that's sold. We are going to have banks, not most of them, but some of them, that are going to manipulate the system, and they are going to refinance you, or they're going to have to refinance you. Think about this. Your combine, your tractor, your drills, all of your stuff is locked in. Some of it's 0%. Some of it's 3, 4, 5%. And we have 9% operating notes. If we have a 9% note and we have $3 million, $2 million, we have high fertilizer, high chemical. What are we going to do? For some people that have been waiting for the perfect storm, it is going to be your opportunity to buy land because it's going to be for sale or it's going to go for rent. It just is. I hope that doesn't happen again, but I believe it's going to happen. Now, these were the people that did not agree with me, and they had good reason not to. They said, well, Mary Jo, if people are over leveraged, that's going to happen. Yes, it is to some extent. That is true. If we have just spent because interest rates were so low, we could hardly afford not to, then we may be in that position, right? We may have put ourselves in that position. Mary Jo, it's not going to happen because now we have crop insurance. They didn't have crop insurance in the 80s. Okay, but what if there is no crop failure? That is a great point. But what if there isn't a crop failure? What if we just have lower yields? So we can't claim crop insurance because we did get rain, but it wasn't a disaster. So now we have lower yields, but we still had higher inputs. Like we're just really unlucky. And we fall into that category of crop insurance won't pay, but the yields weren't good enough to make the payments on everything and cover 9% interest. The people that are going to be fortunate through this are the people that don't have an operating note, that have used cash to operate, that have built their infinite banking system, and they can borrow from their cash value at 4 and 5%. Those are the people that are going to be in a situation of control. If you haven't built that system, if you haven't been there, that's okay. Start building it now. Nelson started building his policies when interest rates were 23% and he had $800,000 of debt. 500 of his own, 300 of what he inherited from somebody else. 800,000 at 23% interest. That was in yesterday's dollars. Okay, I have not done the calculations. I had a colleague that did, and I shouldn't even say, but I think it was close to about $3 million today at 23% interest. You guys, he started then. He had to reevaluate what he was doing. So that's when we start talking about Parkinson's law. A luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity, or our needs rise to meet our income. Can we beat that and say, you know what? Maybe I don't need this tractor. We're also, speaking of tractors, I believe that we're also going to see the implement side of things change because, frankly, they're not going to probably do 0% financing or 3% financing either. And if we have 9% operating notes, we are not going to be so likely to go buy new equipment. Maybe the used equipment will come back down to used prices and new will be at new prices. I mean, in the last couple of years, your used equipment was the same price as new stuff, and interest rates were so low, you may as well just go buy the new stuff. So John Deere, Case IH, Caterpillar, whoever, they all had great years. And I believe that that is also going to change. We're going to see people hanging on to equipment longer so that they can lock in that low rate. And we just frankly don't have the extra income to buy something new. Any extra profit that we would make is going to go to interest. Again, I'm going to say it a million times in here because I hope I'm wrong. I really, really, really do hope I'm wrong. But I see the perfect storm coming. Some of us are going to weather it because we've prepared for it. Some of us are not. But I talk about all the time, get your finances in order, understand your books, look at where your money is going. And if we look at those things, we should be able to tolerate a 9% interest. But if we haven't looked at those things and we're just busy farming, guess what? We don't know what our profit margin is. I talked to a client yesterday and he has had to quit his off the farm job due to medical reasons. And he said, Mary Jo, I actually am now getting back to understand where all my numbers are, like I used to, because I am not working off the farm constantly. And I am looking at my numbers and now I know what profit margins are. Now he probably knows what his inputs are because he's working in his books. So for some people, we're so busy working in the business that we don't work on the business. Okay. However that saying goes, I always get it screwed up. But if we're not looking at our books, if we're not doing our bookkeeping, then we need to do that. And we're going to need to do it now more than ever. If somebody out there has a farm ranch bookkeeper that they know that understands farming and ranching, please email me and let me know. I want to vet them because I have people looking for bookkeepers that understand farming and ranching. And I want a bookkeeper that knows what they're doing. Okay. Not a bookkeeper that says they know what they're doing. There is a difference. If we are a bookkeeper, if you know a bookkeeper that can break things out like ranching for profit, and we're breaking out every enterprise and we're using a software system that is amazing, please let me know. Because I have clients that are looking for that help. And I have not found one that understands both sides or that can break out enterprises and say, yep, haying makes this much, cattle make this much, row crop makes this much, hogs make this much. I would like to see those things broke out. Okay, so keep your books. This is going to be a big deal, and we are going to have to weather this storm. But I do believe there is a storm coming, crop insurance or not. We have a lot of low rates locked in, which is very, very good. But we also have high input costs, and inflation right now is not coming down. I am not hearing that there is a fix to the fertilizer issue. There's a fix to the chemical issue. I'm still hearing that we have shortages, that those prices are quite expensive. So that wrapped up with everything else, we need to know our numbers. If you haven't started your system of building your pool of money, you should be doing it now. Market is down. This is not financial advice. I want you to take this and think about it. The market is dropping. Everything that I listen to, every financial advisor that listens to the economy and looks at the economy is saying that the stock market is not the place to be in 2023 because it's going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. It is not me saying that. That is the people I listen to. If that is the case, and we have a ton of money sitting in IRAs, because that's what we've done is put money into IRAs, but yet we're going to the bank and borrowing money at 9%. Does it make sense to have that money sitting in an IRA that's going to lose money? If you have an IRA, do you want it to make more? Do you want to put it in bonds? Do you want to put it in money markets? There's all sorts of things to do. I had somebody ask yesterday on Facebook, where do we put our money? I have been told T-bills and I-bonds, inflation bonds and treasury bills. Those are paying very well right now, and you can stagger those. That may offset some of your interest that you're paying to the bank. Do you want to use the money in the IRA for operating and pay yourself back? Because if you do so, guess what? You just made 9%. Pay yourself back at 9% or 8% or whatever the bank is going to charge you for operating. Put the money to work if that is something that's going to work for you. We may be in a position where we need to think outside the box and do something that everybody has been telling us not to do. And I'm not telling you to do it. I'm telling you to think about it. If it were me, I would be looking at my IRA and going, if I have $500,000 in there and that's what I need for operating, is it making me 9%? And don't listen to your financial advisor. Have him prove it to you, show you. Is he going to guarantee you that it's going to make you 5, 6, 7% interest? Because if he can guarantee that, fantastic. If he can't guarantee that, then what? You're losing money over here and you're losing money over here. Nobody is winning except the banking system. Be careful is my warning. Be very, very careful. Be very diligent about your numbers. Because if the banks can come in and increase an interest rate and refinance a loan, they are going to do that in a heartbeat because they are the bank and they are in business to make money. That is how they make money. All right, you guys, if you have comments on this, I would love to hear them. MaryJo at withoutthebank.com. You can follow me on Facebook, on TikTok, whatever. I am there. I actually do like to have the feedback because I love to be able to hear what everybody's doing. Yes, I've talked to thousands of you a year, thousands of farmers a year I talk to. However, I still like to see just kind of what everybody else is doing and hear your thoughts because maybe you have something I haven't thought about. And I try very, very hard not to have the arrival syndrome. So let me know if you've not gotten the book and you've been shuffling your feet and waiting to start this. There's never a perfect time. Remember, Nelson started in the absolute worst time. You may want to get started as soon as you can as well. All right. Email me, grab the book, farmingwithoutthebank.com. Go there, get my book, get Nelson's book. Get your appointment scheduled. If you want to get in earlier, get on the cancellation list. It does seem that things are slowing down just a hair because I still have appointments in May. So I look forward to hearing from you, and you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to the Farming Without the Bank podcast. We hope today's episode has inspired you to take control of your finances in new ways. Don't forget to check out our website, farmingwithoutthebank.com, and engage with us on our Facebook page, Farming Without the Bank. Join us next week as we smash more financial myths and empower you to accomplish your financial goals.